Hi and welcome to tonight's live blog. This is a live forum for 25 of Perth's artists that have been invited to sprout their ideas on the Perth art scene. And tonight we have Nick Candy.
Right. Hi everyone, thanks for coming. And hi everyone on YouTube. Now, I've been, in preparation for this vlog, I've been looking at all the YouTube things, and it's been very confusing. There are lots of different angles to sort of tackle this talk, and it's just totally filled up my head, but it's in a great way. I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself. I've just been away. Short-term history, I've just been away for 2 years and I've just come back to this place. I've known this theatre here in Perth quite well up until about 2004, and then sort of missed out a little gap, and I'm back again. And it's great to see the growth that's happened since then. And I have heard a lot of sort of complaining about the industry. But from my experience, it's been coming back and also seeing on these amazing new things, Facebook and YouTube and whatnot, looking at Perth from the outside over the last years, I've noticed the growth. I've noticed artists that were younger and slightly more inexperienced now coming up directing shows and being in shows, and I've noticed I don't know of the connections that have been made. This is a changing and this is a growing place. Despite the sort of the reputation of it being the stick in the sand and Dullesville and all of that, I actually think that right now, and I mean, looking over there, just behind the camera where you can't see, there's a great new theatre being built. And I wasn't here for the whole build-up and the planning and all of that, and there's probably all sorts of griping and whinging and moaning about that. But I'm looking at a building that's being made in the centre of Perth, which is going to become a theatre. And I'm actually quite proud about that. I think that's brilliant to come back to. I wasn't going to talk much about Perth because I haven't been here. I was actually going to talk about Iceland. That's where I've been for the last 2 years. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about Iceland because it's similar to Perth. Perth is isolated and relatively small. And Iceland is isolated and relatively small, probably a lot smaller than Perth. So there's a lot of similarities in that way. The one big difference is, unfortunately for the theatre industry in Perth, the big difference is weather. Perth has beautiful weather, Iceland has shit weather. And that makes the industry in Iceland the theatre industry a lot stronger. So yeah. So anyway, I'll just yabber on a little bit about Iceland, and maybe that'll raise some questions or solve some problems in people's heads for the way this isolated community operates. So I rocked up to Iceland, and I went and met up with the guy who runs the City Theatre, which is the second biggest theatre in Iceland, and he said that 150,000 people came through his theatre in 2006. Which is half the population of Iceland. And I thought, and I was very surprised, because I think even AFL would have problems bringing in half the population of Australia in 1 year to their games. Why is this? Weather automatically popped into my mind, that being inside and watching a theatre is a much more enjoyable thing to be doing than being outside watching a live football game in the snow and sleet and whatnot. But also, people in Iceland do have a lot of pride in their literary heritage. It's interesting going off to Europe and being in a place where white culture has been around for a long time, and white stories have existed for thousands of years in the land, in the landscape. That's another thing that Perth and Australia is kind of working against in the theatre industry, is that the stories are borrowed from across the seas, and it's such a 200 years is not a long time to be creating archetypal stories about our life and our culture, which is also racing ahead and doing all sorts of new things. But okay, digressing. Why Icelanders like going to the theatre? It's also because they put on a lot of. It's well funded. The arts bureaucrats have decided that it's to keep the language going and to keep the culture of the small place going. They need to fund it. But also the directors appreciate the fact that audiences do want to be entertained and also moved. So that may be difficult to do, but I think there's been a lot of talk in these blogs about we need to entertain our public. No. We don't need to entertain our public. We need to push the boundaries and challenge and ask questions and tell our audience to ask questions. Why don't we do them both together? It's and I think that's the challenge is to produce work that does both of those things. Yeah. That could have been a bit more powerful. But that's a point. It's a point, one of many. When I was in Iceland, okay, yeah, I appreciate, when I came back to Australia, I had to sign my daughter for Medicare, and I had to sign a lot of forms to do that. When I wanted to apply for insurance, I had to sign a lot of forms to do that. When I applied for my girlfriend to get a visa to come here, you want to know the size of the forms I had to sign to do that. I have applied for arts grants, and I do understand the size of those as well. Those things are a tremendously infuriating obstacle to general life and to getting to life and creation, because they're just the complete opposite of a creative process. And it was a breath of fresh air living in Iceland where none of this was actually necessary. I was part of a company that started up there simply on the pure goodwill of other people. We got a free training space. I was in a circus company. We got a free training space, free performance space, and a whole lot of free gear. And it was yeah, unbelievably easy. But it's one of the hurdles that you have to go across to get what you want to do done. So I don't know where that leaves. Yeah, I don't know where that leaves us. But my time is running out. The place that we live in is sandy and like a desert. There is a lot of paper around that we have to fill in, and there aren't the old stories that we can draw from. So there are limits. An artist's job is to be creative within limits. So that's our job.